Here we are, aren't we, guys? At Agatha All Along episodes 1 and 2. Yes, they released 2 episodes with each other, I think, and then from here on, it's just going to be one episode, per week. But yes, we get 2 episodes with this premiere of the spinoff, which is a spinoff, because I think WandaVision was considered a spinoff too. But here we are. Um, so I look at the all along, right? The remember from the actual what was that when in WandaVision it was like it takes its name from that whole it was Agatha all along. So with that being said, the show itself is just basically about it takes place after WandaVision and Multiverse of Madness because the events of Multiverse of Madness affects this show. So therefore, we find Agatha who is still stuck in Wanda's spell, and we've seen from the end of WandaVision, but we've seen like how it progressed. Um, her spell, the spell that Wanda put on her, I think weakened from what after the events of what you call it, multiverse of madness. Therefore, that's she'd be able to escape it. But apparently, yeah, after the multiverse of madness, all the witches know at least when it came to her destroying the dark hole. That's like a known thing throughout the show. Like it's every all the witches know that it's destroyed. So I guess that's a minor spoiler because that's not something that they say in the trailer. So minor spoiler there. Apparently, is everybody knows, except for Agatha, that because of the fact that she been locked in the spell, um, you know, that the dark hole has been destroyed. And they also apparently like can sense the fact that Wanda is like somewhat gone. We don't know if she's gone because they haven't really been confirming she's out dead. But anywho, I digress. So the first episode basically sets up everything. We find Agatha within the spell, and we see how it progressed because remember she returned. I think at the end of one of it, she turned her back into Agnes, the nosy neighbor person. I think the black and white character, and we see that I guess because of the spell. Obviously, you see in the trailer, she's not black and white. She's doing like a whole detective cop thing. Um, we see that she's basically that she's trapped within that spell. It's like a spell onto herself, which means there is no like it doesn't affect her. It does. She Wanda didn't put everybody in the spell, so the spell affects her. But everybody who lives in Westview, that's basically returned back to a normal life. They can see the spell affecting her. They know that she's under the spell of the Scarlet Witch, of Wanda, and it is mentioned at a certain point that how her being a part of the spell affect everybody. It's funny how it's not like oh my god busted gut funny, but it is funny how you find out like when she finally wake. I think that's in episode 2. Yeah, that's in episode 2 when you find out how it affected everybody. How Wanda being there affected everybody, but more importantly, how her being trapped in that spell, and actually how long it's been since she's been trapped in that spell too. So like that was like it was funny and a revelation. Like oh okay, but episode 1 basically sets all that up. So episode 1 plays as like a true detective crime like uh parody. It's basically like as in to make it short and sweet. It's a parody on cop shows, and she's and she pays basically Agatha plays like this tough as nails, over the top, reckless police woman that obviously we know the trope is that, oh, she's only like this because we get to see that at home she's got something missing, something that drives her to be that way, and we find out is the trope of, oh, there's a lost child. She lost a child and she's hurt, and that they use that, police trope that with the, in any police crime drama show or movie is always because I lost my wife or I lost a child that make me this edgy over the top character. They do it for both the men and the women, and that was basically her in a nutshell. um there's a funny there's a line that will make you laugh. It catches you off guard when she's talking to like her police chief, and she's like eat my ass. I'm like, yeah, that was out of nowhere way to cuss out your police chief who was just trying to tell you to do something. But like, even though, like, the one thing I can say about episode one, it took a minute to, like, it did take a minute, but I say about towards um the middle to end was the part is basically when this all started picking up, especially when they started to introduce um what made episode one start getting interesting, which I could say, if if you were to indulge me, once they introduce Aubrey's character, which is Rio, or right? Yeah, I think it's how you say Rio. Vidal. Once they introduce her character, you're starting to get the sense of that's how they started to incorporate something is wrong and remind you that, oh yeah, that's right, Agatha is stuck in the spell. Because then we also, after we introduced to her, we also introduced to the team, the character who is just known as Team for the moment. We introduced to him in a way where both of them are like these anchors to the real world. Um, and to wrap this all up for episode one, basically it revolves around her finding the body. We see in the trailer she finds the body of a person, and then eventually that toe tag reads uh, W Maximoff, or stand for Wanda Maximoff, but you never see the person's face, and they leave it ambiguous for a reason, because they I guess within the studio production, it's still not known whether or not Wanda is truly dead, but that's how it's presented to her in a way, and that's all to set up episode two, because the ending of episode one sets up the regular episode two. um I won't say how episode one ends, but that just say it ends. It obviously, I'll say this in a roundabout way, we know it has to get to where she breaks out of the spell. So you could say that's what episode one leads towards, her finally waking up. So with that being said, we jump to episode two. Episode two, now it starts from that point where she finds out, okay, where she's not the character, the detective character. She's not any of her personas that she played to try to trick Wanda. She's herself again. She's Agatha Harkness, and she wanders. This is where she wanders around, and this is where, like I said, like, where you find out how her being stuck in that spell affected everyone, and how, and the people that she was seeing, and her detectiveness, spell played into it. And basically, to put it to is like, even though she was stuck in the spell, anybody she's seen within the neighborhood became a character within this detective show. And what she was saying in that as the detective. So she was really talking to some of these people, because then you would these dialogues with people. There's a fun in the beginning. It's funny because of a certain, like, you see it in the trailer. She's in a particular uh birthday suit. I would say she's in her birthday suit, and she freaks out the one neighbor who returns. This is where we realize they did pull some people from to return from, while introducing new characters. We do get some familiar people back from WandaVision, like that 7 years old's mother who plays Mrs. Hart. We get the return of John from WandaVision, uh, Harold, and was Dottie, yeah, who's Harold's wife. Like, we get those returning characters. Obviously, that 7 years old mother played a main role in this show. But episode 2 basically is about the road. We found that this is where she actually realized that the teen character from her, when she was she when she was in her police officer mode, was a real person that she interacted with, and she really, like, her, I guess you could say, handcuffing him with something she was doing for real in the real time. And this is where we started finding her backstory. We find out why Aubrey's character is there, and like I said, this is where they set off for the road. And basically, episode 2 is about her building the coven to go on the road, and you find out why she gets these particular characters or people, because they all represent something that you need to have with you while you on the road. Like, because I guess, like, when you do this, when you go on the road, you're supposed to have particular people that represent a different thing. And also, by the way, each episode name, I didn't put it here because basically I had to do episode 1 and 2, but each episode name is a part of the song they sing. And like, that song from that trailer is actually the song it's a spell. They have to sing that song to open the door to the road, and that's where we hear, like, the full version of that song that we saw in that trailer here. And that's basically where this episode is about, that her running from the Salem 7, and pretty much, like, gathering, like, these people. We find out these different backstories. Like, we find out that with one of the new characters, Alice Wu, the one lady with the multicolored hair, she her mother was a famous witch who became a rock star, and her greatest hit is actually a remixed version of the Ballad of the Road song. Then we're introduced to, like I said, Mrs. Hart in this episode, Jennifer, the black lady with the nose ring. That her name is Jennifer. We introduced to Lilia. They all, like, in the team, Lilia and Jennifer and Alice Wu. They all represent, like, they represent these qualifications that you need for the role. And except for Mrs. Hart. Mrs. Hart is I would say she's just a regular person, but she is just Agatha, in a way, replacing the person that she did not want to recruit for the team that she needed. And it's a fun way how you find out why she needs these people and whatnot, and how one of the characters gives her the list of people that she would need, and all that type of stuff. And then, then, like I said, the Salem 7 played a part into, so forth. So to end this, that was just a base. It was a lot to run down between 2 episodes, so I try to keep it short and sweet without spoiling too much. But to end this, I would say episode 1, if by itself, I would give a 6 out of 10, because it wasn't bad. It wasn't average. It was, to me, it was a 6. so it was above average. So, but it did take a little long to get there because we did still have to play out like the beginning still played out from WandaVision, basically showing that Agatha was still stuck in this basically and Wanda's spell that she cast on everybody where they're just like repeated doing TV shows. And but I do like the fact that they was doing a Criminal Minds true crime like shows, right? Um, it was pretty for the most part. It was interesting. It was I won't say it was too entertaining because it was basically most around how funny she was playing this hard nosed detective character, while also establishing very often that this is not the real world, and her coming to terms with that. And I do like how this goes into how the way they display her crawling her way out of the spell. So, um, then, so yeah, 6 out of 10 for episode 1. Episode 2 was more of the it was the better of the 2 episodes so far. Episode 2 was better than episode 1. Episode 2 was more interesting because we get it didn't focus on Agatha too much and the team, but it did focus on the fact that there's a mystery going on with the team. We see this in the trailer when he tries to speak his name. There's like a weird sigil that stops him from Agatha hearing his name, and she noticed something is weird with the team. Like anytime he says his name or tries to give any personal background information, we see that Agatha either can't hear or something stops him from saying it and basically making audio. But she realizes that the audio, everything around her still sounds normal. It's just him. So somebody put a hex on her not to be able to hear him, his name, or his backstory. So that was a cool aesthetic of one, and everything. It pretty much everything else, and then that whole ballad song was the good thing about that. So I would give episode 2 a 6.5. Oh, no, I'll give it a 7. Just to make it easy. I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10 because it was actually better. I enjoy episode 2 more than I enjoy episode 1. Now, is the show woke? Yes. I mean, you see the group of characters. You got these dip. You got You got you got your typical stereotype way they be woke. They try to make everybody get together. But this is not a video about it being about woke and nothing like that. I'm just wanting to point. Yeah, it is going to come off woke because of the people they put together and how some of the people are I didn't. You could tell they do show you that one particular character we already know. You see him from the trailer's team is, but a particular prefer a particular partner. They do show you that very early in the episode 2. Um, but that's besides the group of characters and what they represent and what you could tell kind of like sort of represent, especially with Aubrey's character and how she interacts with Agatha. Like, okay, it is like there and they establish it, but it doesn't take over the episode. If that's what if you get that point, it don't take over the episode. It just is there for you to know. They let you know. Okay, these characters might be this certain way, and then they stop it at that point. So for the episode actually focused on the story and the characters, other than the fact that instead of just being all about the nationality or who they prefer. So other than that, the show is watchable. Who is this show aimed at? I would say this show is aimed at if the real people, like from watching the first 2 episodes. If you was ever a fan of the original Charm or the new Charm, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Hocus Pocus, if you're especially Hocus Pocus, this episode 2 really established that for me, that's why I wanted to bring this up. If you were a big fan of Hocus Pocus and that whole wonky sistery thing and the whole singing and all that type of stuff, then you're gonna like Agatha, because especially this episode. I don't know for the rest of the episodes, but you will like episode 2, because episode 2 in heart is like Hocus Pocus. It really got Hocus Pocus vibes to it. But yeah, 7 out of 10 for episode 2. Both episodes don't have no post credit scenes, but they do set up pretty nicely what this show is going to be about. Like I said, nothing too bad about it. I enjoy both of the shows, but like I said, if you're into those witchy type of shows, anything, like, you're going to enjoy this. But most people, like, to people who's not, you're probably going to you're probably going to find this show of like a 5 out of 10 or lower if you're not into that type of stuff, because it takes a particular taste to be into this type of show. But if you enjoyed my review, you know what to do. You hit this button right here for all of my movie and TV show reviews. And if you enjoyed this video so much you want to support the channel, you gotta just hit that like, subscribe, share, hit that notification button, because we're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers, and I need you guys' help for that. And as always, hit any one of these videos for more of my amazing content, but don't go anywhere because I got more. Peace.